Good evening, viewers, and my dear friends. I welcome you back on your favorite show, Rubaroo with Pooja Banga. As you all know, that Rubaroo is an online talk show on self-help and wholesome wellness. It is an initiative by Soulsetu Wellness Foundation. We go live every Thursday at 5 p.m. on YouTube as well as Facebook. Do like and subscribe our Soul Setu channel on YouTube to know more about our upcoming events and all the past sessions of Rubaroo. So, friends, today we have Tarika Ahuja with us. Tarika Ahuja is a wellness author. She's a speaker, educator, and integrative treatment coach, having more than 15 years of rich experience in natural wellness, unifying the basic tenets of microbiotic and Ayurveda. She's also certified in Reiki, Theta healing, and is trained in Stott Pilates and yoga. She endeavors to share simple and practical wellness messages through her bestseller books, The Beautiful Children and The Asthma Cure. She also holds workshops, webinars, and nature retreats. Tarika believes that creativity and social work are closely related to one's healing journey. She is the co founder of Violet Wisdom, a platform that provides natural wellness education and products based on ancient holistic systems. I would like to invite Tarika, and she'll be sharing her knowledge about soul foods today, how to nurture our energy at all levels. Hello, Tarika.
Hi Pooja, thanks for inviting me to this platform.
Pleasure is all ours. We welcome you on this Rubaroo platform. So,
Great,
thank you
thank
so
you.
much for sparing time for us. So, to start with, Tarika, tell us about first your journey. How did you got into wellness and yoga? Please tell us.
This is about 15 years ago. I think I'll just cut the story short and we'll concentrate on the topic, but I'll get into it as much as about 15 years ago, I had attended a cooking class thinking it's a vegetarian cooking class, and
Okay.
it turned out to be something called as macrobiotics. And macrobiotics is like the twin understanding and system like Ayurveda. It's from the Far East.
Okay.
So it basically was very interesting for me to, come across something like that. And within a span of 1.5 years, I came across another three, four dynamic healing modalities. So it was just, I think it's just about timing, that I started off in macrobiotics and within 1.5 years, I came across so many things. So it just opened a whole new journey for me, a whole new direction for me. And since then, I've been, working all over the world, all over India, and I've written a couple of books as well. My first book is on children's health. It's called Beautiful
Yeah.
Children, the parents' essential guide for raising strong, balanced, and healthy children. And my second book, which is more recent, is called The Asthma Cure. It's basically on immunity and lung health.
Great.
So yeah, here I am, back here working with schools, with parenting groups, with co-founded, as you mentioned, Violet Wisdom. We do products, we do webinars, and a whole lot of stuff.
Awesome. That sounds great. So I would like to also welcome our participants, Tina Anand, Shweta Kapoor, Sanjana Kapoor, Deepti Lalwani. We all welcome you and thank you for joining us for this session. And Tarika, so tell us about coming back to soul foods. What do you mean by soul foods? It is different from what we eat every day, or it is the same food, but the choices are different.
Well, the soul foods basically for me means absolutely natural foods. So
Hmm.
foods that have not been tampered with, in a factory or in a lab. Chemicals and preservatives have not been added to it, and it's in its most natural form, is basically what nourishes us.
Right.
Um, Nature has five elements, as we know in Ayurveda and in macrobiotics. We have the five elements of fire, earth, air. We have the five elements, and all of
Right.
those five elements exist in us. So if we eat
Right.
something that is coming from nature, it will strengthen our elements. But as
Mm.
soon as we eat something that is man-made, it may not strengthen, it disrupts the natural flow and begins to create
Right.
problems, which is what unfortunately the last few generations, last 3 decades has seen in India, last 3 to 4 decades, with so much of refinement and chemicals being added to the food industry in different foods. It's created that problem.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
the foods that are grown naturally, so for example, something as simple as brown rice,
Mm.
um, and it's very interesting because I hear a lot of nutritionists out there speak about brown rice, and they say mm, brown rice is healthy because it's got more fiber, it's got more, whatever, less calories and things like that. And then there are some other nutritionists who outright say brown rice is not good for you. Leave it, it'll give you a stomach
Mm.
ache. But all of these, I mean, it's not just about brown rice, but millets, brown rice, amaranth, all the whole grains. What these do is they basically grow in nature.
Mm.
And when they grow in nature, and they're not only the seed, they're also the fruit of the plant.
Right.
So it's not just what you consume, but when you sow a seed of brown rice, like 1 grain of brown rice, it'll give you back 10,000 grains. That's what the
Mm.
saying is: 1 grain, 10,000 grains. And so the ability to receive from a whole grain, which is more complete, is very
Mm.
big, right? It's got rejuvenating power. It can create an entire plant, and so
Mm.
much more fossil. So
Right.
even when we consume it, it rejuvenates our cells to that degree.
Mm.
Our cells, tissues, organs, everything get replenished and rejuvenated. Whereas, I mean, if you imagine something, I mean, I love good quality bread, but I'm just saying, if you imagined something like bread or pasta, somebody's living on bread and pasta all the time, and you sow that in the
It
soil,
will not be anything. Yeah.
it'll just become fungus, or it'll just get, it'll get mixed up with the card, it'll get just, it's
Or
organic, so it'll just get mixed up, but it's not going to give you back anything.
very
And
true.
so for me, soul foods are foods that have the power of rejuvenation, of recreation. And so combination of, whole foods with little bit of refined, like you can sometimes have dalia, pasta, and all of those things, but the primary food in your day or in your week should be whole and unrefined.
Very beautifully, and I think in a very simple words you have explained it very well. And of course that makes a lot of sense that when you sow a thing and then it gives you back the bigger crop. Of course it will replenish our system as well. Absolutely.
Yes,
So tell us
absolutely.
one more thing, that how does these food with chemicals and white sugar, do they affect our energy levels also?
Right. So I would say, I mean, foods, white sugar is taken very lightly, by many people. They think like thoda sa white sugar le lenge to kya ho jayega. They just like calories thodi si chढ़ जाएंगी, we'll go to the gym, we'll go for that extra round of walk, and we'll, sort of, it'll be fine and everything. But these
Balance
days
it.
white sugar is also very often bleached,
Oh.
and it's the chemicals that go into the white sugar, and it's so highly refined that it basically makes the body very acidic because of its very nature. And then everything else that you have, the whole body then begins to work to it begins to work to make your body back, to an alkaline state, to bring the pH balance of 7.4 in the blood, or different alkalinity in different parts of the body. And so what happens is, we need to, it'll start pulling out minerals from our nervous system, from our bone, from different parts of our body, to to remove the acidity caused by sugar. So it causes depletion. It's not कि थोड़ा सा मीठा खा लिया and calories है. It's not a calorie approach. It's an energy approach.
Okay.
So it actually steals your energy in the long run. I mean, if one has it once in 3 months or once in really less time, it's not. But if one is having it every day or twice a day or thrice a week, it's a lot. The system accordingly will be compromised, based on, of course, individual genetic strength and everything.
Hmm.
And I'd like to add, I'm not saying meetha nahi khana hai. I'm just
Hmm.
saying white sugar nahi khana hai. So have your dates, have your figs, apricots, have your organic fresh fruit, have jaggery, have maybe once in a while khand in some desserts,
Hmm.
raw sugar, organic sugar, but just not commercialized white sugar. And
Hmm.
chemicals have a very explosive effect on our body. I mean, it's extremely sad that the food industry has gone in the direction of adding so many chemicals in everything just to preserve them long enough, just for the sake of businesses and things like that. The products we have at Violet Wisdom, we use zero chemicals, not even 1%. But they, of course, want, I mean, artisanal business work differently, whereas the big businesses want to expand. If they have to send cheese slices somewhere, cheese slices will, thodi si bana ke, they're not going to be happy with selling 100. They want to sell in lakhs all over the country. So they add chemicals and preservatives to the cheese slices or to the cookies or to everything. And that level of chemicals basically goes into your body, and the centeredness of your body, or the good energy of your body, it just explodes it. And the direction is like, if every day we're working towards getting our energy in certain ways, the chemicals will just like literally tear it apart and throw it in all directions in a chaotic way. So
Hmm.
every a person who's very sensitive to these things, maybe has a more sensitive nervous system, if they have chemicals, it hits them a lot more. Some people don't even realize it, that the quality of their relationships, the quality of their reactions, it's very unusual. I had such beautiful teachers teach me some amazing things. I had this teacher, late Mona Schwartz. She was living in
Hmm.
Dehradun, and I went with her one day to a store, and she was trying to negotiate with the person to keep brown rice in his store, and she's like really saying, thodi organic cheese rakho, we'll increase your business, we'll send people to you, and this and that. And in the middle of that, he offered a chai, so she says, "ठीक है, I'll have the chai." And then after that, he offered her cookies, and she had the cookies, and for some reason he was being a little stubborn in answering, stubborn and resistant to keep the good stuff. And so
Hmm.
she reacted like a little bit sharply, and that's not usually like her reaction. And then when we sat in the car, she's like, held my hand, and she says, "Tarika, this is your macrobiotic learning." You know what made
Hmm.
me react the way I did? It was those cookies had such a sharp chemical. I mean, of course, his attitude too was upsetting, but the cookies had such a sharp chemical that it actually, it instantly affected me. The chai, sugar, and cookies, and I got that little bit of a snapping thing. So it's of course, this is a very small example. I have maybe about a trillion examples like that in my life where I've seen it happen. So it's a lot about beginning to understand what creates what. And when you share it with people and they begin to be able to see it, is beautiful, because with dheere 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 windows open. Even for me, it's still growing, the understanding, it's still opening up. So
Hmm.
with time, it keeps opening up, and it's such a beautiful journey because you keep learning something new every few years experientially. The beauty of macrobiotics and Ayurveda are, they give you body experience. They show you what is not, or they sharpen your intuition and your third eye so much that you begin to see things and understand things and perceive things which you couldn't have maybe 10 years ago or 20 years ago. So yeah, that's what chemicals and sugar and all of this does. It takes you away from your own heart, from your own intuition, from your good health, and it creates chaos instead of
Hmm.
order in your body and life.
So I think very, very well I can relate it with the young generation today because they are so addicted to these junk foods and packed food that, of course, their
Yeah.
behavior has become a lot of, they, as you said, the energy just explodes. So they are so hyper and they are not focused. So I think a lot to do with the food as well.
And yeah, and that is why the problem of hyperactivity and lack of focus is a lot more in this generation. पहले कहाँ होता था? Where did we
Yeah.
have special needs teacher in our times? Our generation didn't have special needs teacher in the school. Now every school needs special needs teachers. So many of them. Every school has it because the health of the children in this generation is so terrible with the kind of food habits and lifestyle habits that have come into the scene now, into the world now. So yeah, you're right. It's totally a great observation to see that children are most affected by it now.
Very true. So, Tarika, I'll come to the next question that I think every now and then we see almost everybody's, following some or the other diet. And surprisingly, there are so many kind of diets these days in the market. So, what do you have
Right.
to say about it?
Um, it's a little bit unfortunate that there's so many kinds of diets out there because it tracks away people from the original way of eating. In fact, because there are so many kinds of diet, what I observed very truthfully was years ago, I said, why aren't the Ayurvedic doctors doing well in India? This is about 10 years ago, my observation. Why aren't people going to Ayurvedic doctors and why aren't they doing well? Why are people going to nutritionists? Because people have gone away from wanting to change their daily food. It's a lot of effort and it's slow to recover. And so even Ayurvedic doctors have started giving more medicines. That was, 10, 15 years ago, I noticed. And they're not able to change everybody's food habits because everybody is in that sort of a state, you know. And
And
I'm sorry,
everybody,
Pooja, remind me your question again. I've sidetracked a little. Yeah, dietitians,
no,
right. So dietitians are basically, I guess, because there are so many kinds of diets being offered, and a lot of them are very nutrition based and calorie based. And nutrition and calorie, I'm not saying it's not correct. It exists, of course. It's a science and it's true. And we need to watch our nutrients, we need to watch our calories, but it isn't the whole picture, right? It's like saying it's one part information instead of the whole information. अब आप कुछ भी करोगे with smaller information rather than the full information, तो वो is not going to give you the full result either. So that's what's happening more and more with the just the diets and all. Though luckily, I mean, at least there are some nice, people are getting back to Ayurveda, macrobiotics, functional medicine, where they're trying to combine doctors, the medical treatment um, along with natural lifestyle and eating and everything. So that's giving a little more trust. Some people will have more trust in a person who's also aligned with the macro, with the doctor, with the medical treatment. Some people will want it all the way through and through, Ayurveda. So we have to one has to cater to a lot of different minds, but as long as wrong information is not spread or half information is not spread, it's better. So maybe there should be a body of checking these things coming in or something like that, but I don't know.
so one of our viewers, Kuna Paredi, Arun Kumar, is asking, can you suggest any diet for diabetes? So, if you can
Diabetes
suggest,
is a very
yeah.
holistic approach. Diabetes is not something where one can suggest something very quickly, because there are two three factors with diabetes. One is you're diabetic. The other is you have hypoglycemia. So, in both the cases, your blood sugar is going up and down, but there is a slight variation in it between the two, and there is a variation even in the person's body type and their strength. So it's a lot to do with one man's medicine is another man's poison. I mean, one man's so it doesn't suit everybody the advice we give. But generally, for diabetics, what's important is to have slow burning natural foods and more millets and ragi and leafy green vegetables and mineral rich foods like black sesame seeds and amaranth and green moong dal. Of course, pumpkin, naturally sweet vegetables like carrots, pumpkin, onions, things like that. But it's a whole approach. It's like one has to take, I would advise the person to maybe follow my page and then maybe attend some live webinars and understand the approach and then slowly start absorbing things in, and I can maybe suggest some books and videos to them as well.
Yeah. So thank you, Arun Kumar, for asking that question. And we have Rushali Dalal, and in fact, she has asked suggestions for books we can go through to know more about microbiotic and soul
Suggestions
foods.
for books. I mean, of
Yeah.
course, I think my second book is like really amazing because it's available on Amazon and it has over 100 recipes and really it's been put together for the Indian mind. I wrote this book after consulting, doing health consults for people for about 10-15 years. So I've seen every level of kind of consults. People have come to me and said kar lenge, they follow it fully. People will follow it for a month and say kuch nahi ho raha hai, I want to leave. People will look at the diet and say ye kya hai, I can't even try this. So I've gone through so many different levels of kinds of people that, considering all of that, I've written this book. This book is definitely very important. What we can do is we can I can send you some links of books which you can post under this video. There are authors like Vern Verona, Denny Waxman, Edward Esco, Alex Jack. There are a lot of people who've written very brilliant books on macrobiotics and natural wellness that are very nice. So I can share links of those and you can share them further. Sure.
Of course, I'll do that. I'll do that soon, Vrushali, and thank you for asking that question. We have Hrida Banga, and she's asking, can you suggest a good diet on thyroid?
Thyroid is a very complicated disease actually. It seems very simple. But is it hypothyroid or is it hyperthyroid?
So she has not mentioned that though. So maybe we'll wait for a while, and if ask it again, and then we can come back to that question.
Right, thyroid is very complicated because basically in thyroid, it's the balance between the upper body and the upper chakras and the lower chakras, and so it's also the balance between your mind and your activity levels. So if somebody is more mentally active and not so physically active, they will have hypothyroid, a tendency to
Okay.
have hypothyroid. Whereas somebody who's physically very active and cannot relax the mind and it gets overactive because the physical body itself is very active, they will have hyperthyroid. So there's a different approach for the two, completely, like in a sense it's a different approach for both. Some foods will be similar for all, but there are things to be watched. And I think I really feel for thyroid, it's increasing your activity level, improving the quality of your food, keeping it all organic, chemical free, a lot of those things is imperative, along with beginning to understand the role of expression as a human being. Because it's till a person is living a life that they love. If you're not living a life that you completely wake up to and say, this is what I want to do, and this is what I want to create, and this is my expression, this is my will, I'm living as per my will without interference, then the thyroid begins to function a lot better. Then the whole body begins to function better. But I'm saying thyroid may or be jada, like, is very sensitive. And if you'll see, thyroid happens, more often to women in general than to men, and or even in more in the modern society than in the in the and it's got lots to do with a certain level of suppression
Right.
of emotions, of
Not
our
being very.
personality, of our life,
Yeah.
of our voice, of we want to do. But we've grown up to believe कि ऐसे ही होना चाहिए. So many of us have grown up to believe so many things that it's so inherent that we don't even stand up for ourselves enough anymore. So a lot of these things, or we're not able to, even if we stand up for ourselves, not everybody is able to stand up for us as easily. So it's very difficult in the society,
Like the circle.
because there are too many paradigms that are changing from the old way of thinking and the old way of believing and the old way of spirituality. The old way of spirituality was all about the body is not important, the mind is not important, only the soul and spirit is important, which is redundant now, frankly. I mean, people, the idea of that was that you don't overindulge in the body and mind, but that doesn't mean that you don't live a basic and good life, you know?
Yes.
So, in fact, nurturing your basic life and, dreams and then supporting others do the same is the new way of creating,
Yeah.
a healthier society. Otherwise, एक section of लोग होते हैं जो कहते हैं, they avoidant. They're basically avoiding a certain area of life, or they're trying to like diminish it in their minds. And then scientists होते हैं जो कि सिर्फ physical चीजें देखते हैं, फिर it's creating divisions in the world, whereas if you come together, bring the two things together and give everything importance, with the right degree of importance, then it's much better, right? I mean, it's नहीं तो वो दोनों लड़ते रहेंगे. All the gurus and the doctors of the world will keep fighting and they'll never meet. So we need the more wisdom, wiser people in our generation to come up and share and be and yeah.
Amalgamate, I think healing and qualification both and go take the way forward. I think that's the
Yeah.
new way of going ahead with everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And giving, I mean, people haven't been heard for what they've been through or what's happening in their life. So, taking care of people around you at least, and seeing who's being heard, who's not being heard, and just having a more compassionate attitude towards things helps.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because as we have grown up, we have not been taught to love ourselves first. We always been taught that if you take care of everyone else around, then you will be happy. So I think
Yeah.
this notion we have to change. That first you have to take care of your body, yourself first. See your what do you require for your body, and then you can help others better in a better way. And once you are
Yeah.
happy, you can make
Also, I
others
think
happy.
we came from Yeah, I think also we came from the cave times, right? I mean, coming from the very ruthless times of humankind, where everybody was so much for themselves that maybe at that time the teachings were towards sharing and giving and all of that kind of thing. But now I think we've
Right.
become so much in tune with that
It's
that we
all
don't we don't need cave time advice. We're not living in the cave age. We don't
right.
need you to tell us कि इसको मार के तुम अपने लिए खा रहे हो और फिर शेयर नहीं कर रहे हो या ये कर रहे हो वो कर रहे हो, whatever it was in back then. I mean, there's so much evolution that has happened, that certain things need to change as well. The way things are taught, the way things are expressed also need to change in a
Absolutely,
society.
absolutely. So, Tarika, another question from Rushali. She's asking, can you suggest basic diet for normal common person? So,
Oh, sorry, what diet?
everyday diet for a normal common person.
Okay, well, for every day, what's very important is for us to base our meals around grains. So,
Okay.
things like brown rice, millet, better quality of wheat. When you're having wheat, to definitely have like very good quality of wheat rotis.
Okay.
Sometimes have different grains ka rotis, have a little bit of kuttu, have a little bit of amaranth, have all different variety of grains, have jaw, have everything put together. So on your
Mm.
plate, everybody should have a little bit of a grain, be it whole grain, be it cracked grain, or be it slightly refined grain. So some combination of it. All I mean is it shouldn't be only refined, but it should be a combination. Then have 1 to 2 vegetables,
Okay.
and not have vegetables like achar. These days people are eating vegetables like achar, दो चम्मच लेके कहते हैं हो गया. These days
Mm.
moms are coming to me saying my child won't eat vegetables. They'll do anything but they won't touch vegetables. So it's the vegetables are being, vegetable quantity needs to increase on the plate basically.
ये बोल
Of
था.
course, have a healthy protein, dal, kala chana, kulit ki dal, anything, a good quality protein. And a little bit of fermented food, oilless achars, and sometimes the better oil achars too, but preferably the brine pickles or oilless pickles, like we have in Violet Wisdom sauerkraut, which is a cabbage pickle, or we have haldi pickle and things like that. Nimbu ka char, a traditional nimbu ka char, and then to have a little bit of raw salad. And then certain meals have maybe just a soup and salad, or whatever people are used to make a healthier version of it. but basically to not miss out any of the categories. So when people go no carb diet, it's not good. When people go high protein only, that's also not good. When people go no fat, that's also not good. You need a little bit of everything, but I think what's most important is to educate yourself about your body type and the quality of food that is available. If the quality of food is good and you're leading an active life, then there are lesser chances of you creating stagnation or unhealth. So quality is very important, and educating yourselves through different webinars and books and different sort of YouTube channel videos and things like that is also very important.
Mm. Absolutely. I think two things which you said, quality of food and knowing your body type. These two things are very, very important. What suits your body and what doesn't suit your body. Yeah. So
Yeah.
one another thing I was having in my mind is that I have been, watching people following this intermittent fasting a lot these days. So tell us something about that. What is your take on intermittent fasting and does it have any side effects?
Sure, sure. See, for intermittent fasting, Pooja, I would say what's happened is we are coming from a time when we have taken excess of everything, right?
Mm.
So because we're coming from a time when we're taking cheese, see, we used to have dairy kitna, we used to have dairy, thoda sa ghee over chapati, right? Maybe little milk if you're in the village and you have a cow, you know
Mm.
if you're a farmer and you're physically active and then you have some milk, things like that. Suddenly thoda sa white butter jo nikalta tha ghar ke doodh se, little bit, you would have it, but suddenly butter is commercialized, salted butter, cheese, everything. So what does it become? It's become concentrated dairy and excess, right? Then
Mm.
similarly in all other foods, if you see, sugar डाल के, because चीजें अच्छी नहीं लगती है, आटा, because
बनाने
foods are
के लिए
nutrient, the natural foods are nutrient dense, so you enjoy them as it is. But when you
yes.
have like refined foods, you need to have itna sara before you can even feel it. So
Mm.
उसका भी quantity बढ़ा के ज्यादा sugar डाल दी cookie में, ज्यादा ये ज्यादा वो, everything is in excess. So because,
Yes.
and then there's restaurants and all, people are going to all the time, eating out, ordering in, which is okay occasionally, but again, not all the time. So because we are coming from a time which is basically time of excesses, इतना ज़्यादा excess है life में सबके खाने में,
Yes.
कि
Mm.
obviously when they come to intermittent fasting, उनको क्या लगता है? बहुत अच्छा लगता है. I mean, इतना ज़्यादा खा के तो they get so sick. So when they start intermittent fasting, it is getting rid of that excess, that overload or overworking of the digestion. So it's very helpful for people. However, there are certain people who are more depleted, or there are certain
Mm.
people जिनका जैसे diabetes के लिए question था, their blood sugar may not be stable. And for
Right.
some
Right.
people who are very depleted or have a high bath, or have, the blood sugar is not stable, or certain different, there are categories of maybe 10-15 ऐसी conditions होती हैं. So for certain people, it may not be so good to do a very long intermittent fasting.
Right.
However, to do a basic की 7-8 o'clock तक तो खाना खाओ, end करो, और फिर सुबह 9 बजे खाओ, उतना तो everybody can do. I will still
Mm.
advise anybody shouldn't be eating at 10-11 o'clock at night. And
Right.
so automatically, if you're eating your meals by 7ish in the evening, 7-8 baje tak you're finishing off your meals and giving a 3-4 hour gap before you sleep, automatically by the next morning you're giving it a good enough gap. It's the people who eat 11 baje 12 baje raat ko sone, 10 baje raat ko sone se pehle, and then the next day they sort of wake up really late, and or whatever, they eat anything, they put sugar in their mouth first thing in the morning, or things like that. So of course discipline is needed, but if somebody is eating consciously and nicely and not doing this late night eatings, they're anyway doing intermittent. When I came
Mm.
to intermittent, I was like, when I was studying at the Kushi Institute in Massachusetts 15 saal pehle, we used to have our dinner 6 to 7. Dining hall was open only at that time. Our dinner was
Right.
and stopped at 7. We had no availability of food. Next day breakfast opened at 8 o'clock, 8 to 9. So we
So
automatically, and our
that's the
breakfast was nothing but
the way
greens
of
and
life our elders and
yeah,
ancestors
and
actually have.
our breakfast didn't have oil in it and makhan in it. I mean, over there, So automatically you ate such a light breakfast and your next meal was at 12:30. So it was already, the main meals were lunch and dinner,
Yeah.
and a nice basic breakfast, like a smart breakfast, not an over the top breakfast. So it automatically was so close to intermittent fasting that I felt like if you just understand and eat really well and not eat late, that's good. But I would say, matlab logo ko thoda sa, if they feel intermittent fasting is helping them, do it. But if they feel it's not helping them, if somebody's feeling weak or somebody's feeling, listen to your intuition, talk to an expert, have a one-to-one consult with an Ayurvedic doctor or anybody that you trust, and they will guide you through according to your body type.
Right. So I think very well said that once you try it, and then of course the nutrients you are taking is should not be compromised, and the kind of food you are taking should not be compromised if even if you are on intermittent fasting.
Right.
Hmm. So we have two other viewers, Nidhi and Vandana Narang. They both have asked similar questions. I would like to ask you the same. Nidhi is asking food for growing up, kids 9 to 12 years for good health and good immunity. And Vandana Narang is asking, what's your advice on timing of food, keeping in mind today's lifestyle, especially kids?
So timing of foods for kids is the second question. And sorry, what was the first question?
What will be the food for growing children, best food for growing children of 9 to 12 years and good
Um,
immunity?
I think for children, what's extremely important is to have, whole grains in their diet. I would say सबसे ज़्यादा important चीज़ for children है कि brown rice, millet, barley, जौ ये सब उनके diet में आ जाए somehow. Even if they have it two times a week, that's good enough. But ये
Yeah.
सब आ जाए उनकी diet में. And even more important than, I mean, not even more, but the next step of what's most important is that they shouldn't be having white sugar and chemicals. Because if they're having white sugar and they're having brown rice in the same meal, then brown rice burns slowly. Brown rice takes 3 hours, few hours to burn down, and sugar
Right.
takes few minutes to burn down. So brown rice खत्म मतलब digest हुआ नहीं होगा या full meal दाल जो भी everything
We have
हुआ नहीं
taken.
होगा शुगर लेके उसकी डाइजेशन शुरू हो जाएगी food will ferment in the gut. So food
Mm,
combinations are very important, and from that perspective, what is very important is सबसे पहले include whole grains. Secondly, get your child off white sugar, get them in the habit of healthier desserts. Third, healthy quality protein, and fourth, more vegetables. So if you're able to create these basic things and in a variety, in a variety, like vegetables don't have to be like boring. You can give them some soups. You can give them vegetables in noodles. You can make a soup with pasta in it. Children will have anything with pasta in it. You know,
mm,
and you can give them stir fried vegetables if they like Chinese style, make stir fried brown rice. If they some days make it like a lemon rice or a jeera tomato rice. So there's so many ways of creating um, health and variety for kids. And tikkis, you can make millet ki tikkis. You don't have to have it just as it is. So it's a practice. पहले तो intellectually समझना पड़ता है क्या करना है. फिर practically when you get in the kitchen, the mothers need cooking lessons and cooking
mm,
videos to see things like that. They need to understand what's important.
mm,
Then they need to observe their child and see what's actually working and what's actually not working.
mm,
Because if their child is hell-bent on not doing some things, so then that's not the way. When somebody is
mm,
hell-bent on not doing one thing, then that is never the door opening, the way to go towards them. That's not the open door for them, their way. So you
It
come
will
another
not,
way.
yeah, it won't be like it will, they will be able to follow it for few days maybe, but then it won't be like a lifestyle thing.
Right, right. So it has to be very slowly introduce three new recipes every week.
Mm,
And let it be a slow process for kids. So I say take dosal. I mean, where is the hurry? Take 2 years to convert them into eating better and healthier. There is no rush
mm,
at all, but do it periodically. Like do it consistently. It shouldn't be like you're doing it ek mahina, do mahina they're doing anything, then you're doing it do mahina. Not that way dosal, but
mm,
very intelligently 2 साल कि पहले time you introduce brown rice पहले 2 महीने के लिए and take away white sugar and you just keep practicing good dessert recipes and things like that. Then जाके you go into something else, add another variety in this, that, then soups another month, and different salads, salad dressings. It's an ongoing journey to increase open their palate to new flavors and new textures, and delicious food. And so I would say it's a slow journey and take it slow. There's no need to rush your child. There's no need to scold your child. But just slowly keep creating it. Just be actively creating something good for your child.
सो तारिका, आपने व्हाइट शुगर के हमें ऑप्शंस बताए, जैसे कि गुड़ कर सकते हैं, जैगरी खांड कर सकते हैं, एंड देन व्हाट अबाउट कोकोनट शुगर? व्हाट अदर ऑप्शंस आर गुड टू रिप्लेस व्हाइट शुगर?
So, so here's a question. Here's a thing I'd like to say. कि जब कोई question पूछे कि how often can I have sugar and what are the substitutes, which I mentioned some, but how often can I have sugar? They're very concerned about sugar, or they're very concerned about oil, कौन सा oil बहुत ज़्यादा. The point is, जो चीज़ इतनी कम खानी है उसके बारे में इतना concern भी नहीं होना चाहिए. The question should be more about what grains and how the vegetables and all of those. For example, the dessert should not be had more than twice a week, maybe thrice a week. Even a healthy dessert, I'm saying. सबसे healthy dessert भी ले लो, वो 2 से 3 बार हफ्ते में, ज़्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए. It shouldn't be twice a day or thrice a day. Oil should not be more than a tablespoon or a little bit, per person in a day, tablespoon and a half. Kids a little bit more, maybe, depending on some days even lesser, some days little more, like that, the average. So given that, I think you asking a question about coconut sugar, right?
या
Coconut sugar
कोकोनट.
is also coconut sugar is not something that you can consume daily ki bas रोज खाने लगो, because coconut also depends on what region we are in. Delhi में तो बिल्कुल नहीं. Delhi and Gurgaon में coconuts don't grow. But if you're living in Goa and you're brought up over there and you have a little coconut sugar in certain things, it's fine. If you're living in Kerala, it's fine, right? So whatever
What
is
about,
local to you,
so if we
what
use
about?
brown sugar?
Not brown sugar. Brown sugar ki quality is not good. Very often, not all the time, but very often what happens is um, लोग white sugar, मतलब the process is in certain companies वो refine कर देते हैं, white sugar बन जाती है. Once white sugar
And
बन जाती है, then they add back something to it to make it look like brown sugar, because that's what the demand is and is selling. Some companies maybe genuinely brown sugar, maybe in between process, some companies actually do this. So I would say instead of having brown sugar, just have raw khand, organic raw khand kabhi kabhi, which should be very rare, not on a daily basis. Gur is a good replacement. Coconut sugar, if that's local to you, again, few times a week. And maybe something to do with dates. Dates, figs, apricots, the dried apricots, and
जी,
kishmish, of course, raisins,
exactly.
all natural stuff, along with stuff. And again, even like dried fruit is not something ki bas dher sara leke khate raho. Like, if you have too many cashews or you have too many almonds, like the system will bed jayega, it's so heavy. So the best way to have nuts is add them into salads, have them little bit as a snack, only, rolled up like a little ball or something. So quantity determines quality there. Quantity कितनी खा रहा है कोई, that will determine कि उसका result अच्छा है कि नहीं, besides quality.
So, one very important question, Tarika, ki we all are into this pandemic, and the cases are on their peak. So, people are, in fact, या तो वो बीमार है या फिर वो fear में है. So, stress level बहुत बढ़ा हुआ है. So, what do you suggest for the people, to have a good immune system, to have food, the same kind of diet you just mentioned, and लोगों को pneumonia problems and post-COVID जो problems हो रही हैं, उसके लिए what diet do you recommend? What kind of food do you recommend for, getting the immunity better
Right.
to
I mean,
cope?
एक तो I would say, if you are worried about your health due to the pandemic, First of all, give up sugar 100%. Nothing damages your immunity more than white sugar. And it's basically a slow poison. And secondly, your packaged and chemical foods, and like we mentioned already, of course. Then one of the best foods, which is also now very thankfully, it's the national food of India, khichdi. So to have a different kind of khichdi every day, if one is feeling like they're unwell, ek hafte ke liye have khichdi every one meal in the week, every one meal in the day, and it doesn't have to be boring. I'm not saying bilkul sadi khichdi khani hai. Have it with a pickle of your choice. Have it with vegetables. Have it with different flavors each day, different tarka each day. That's fine. But one meal, have your moong dal and especially your green moong dal, split green moong dal or green moong dal, sometimes yellow, either with millet and white rice or with brown rice or with bajra, or even sometimes say bajra and chane dal ki khichdi with lauki in it. So there's so many combinations of khichdis one can do. And
Right.
when you do that, it's a scientific thing, khichdi actually. It's very scientific. The grain nourishes your pancreas, while the dal and the lentil nourishes your kidneys, and the vegetables also nourish the fluidity in the system, and the circulation. And then you put some adrak in it, and you put certain other things, and then the moong dal nourishes your gut, your lungs, as well as your reproductive organs. So it basically begins to help every system in your body, and so it helps immunity. It's very
Awesome.
helpful. People just see it as, oh, bimar ka khana hai, like if I'm unwell I'll have it, kind of a thing. But khichdi should be had anyway, sabke liye, 3 times a week. Ek meal ke liye have a different khichdi. It doesn't have to be a boring one. Then staying away from bad foods is as important as adding good foods to your diet. um, of course, having just like we mentioned, the platter that I mentioned, the thali system of having a little bit of everything, that's very important. So thoda sa, have the healthier vegetables more often, have kaddu a little more often, have karela once a week, kaddu twice a week, have soups a little more often. Soups are hot liquids with little ginger in it and black pepper in it, but not go out of the way to do so much, but maybe have more amla. I mean, we have so many things in our
We
daily
have
food. We just need to
plan
start
it.
applying it. Plan it and start applying it. We just need to not feel we just need to start applying all the good stuff जो हमारे kitchen में है. There's nothing that we have to go out and get too many things. Of course, if someone's very unwell, a few sort of supplemental foods always help, for sure. But we need to be smart. The only thing is we need to just get smart about cooking and what we're making every day, our menu planning. We need to be smart about it. Everybody knows khichdi is good. Everybody knows sprouts are good. Everybody knows. I mean, it's not new information. It's just out there and out there. But one has to just balance it for themselves and intuitively and with the intention of how they want to create that health for themselves and their family, start applying it. And like I said, because we all already know all the good stuff in our kitchen, applying it is one thing, but what is of a much more importance, what is of much more importance is removing the bad foods. Removing the bad foods is, to have, for example, somebody who goes and has pastries at a bakery. What does a pastry have? A pastry has maida, it has sugar, and it has dairy, all three. And it has chemicals and it has food colors to make it colorful and pretty. It is
Right.
pure poison. Most of the pastries are pure poison. So obviously, to stay away from things like that, I mean, it's just about hearing it. Like, if somebody hears it from me like this, that a pastry is almost like the commercial pastry. I'm saying not homemade ones and nice cakes and everything at home, but the commercial pastries are almost like poison. So stay away from them. And so many other foods like that are commercial, highly commercialized, like cheese slices. Stay away from that.
So बहुत अच्छे से बताया था. We all what we do is that I think my voice is echoing. Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay. So we follow 5 days a proper diet, and 2 days we'll say that it's a good day.
I couldn't hear you. Sorry, this part I missed. What did you say?
I said 5 days we'll follow the diet properly, and then 2 days we'll say it's a cheat day on weekends, which I think don't serve the purpose.
Yeah, we do a lot of those things. But the idea is include something delicious that you like, a healthier version of it anytime.
Yeah.
And have
Yeah.
healthier tastier food. Transition की बात होती है. There is a phase from eating the way one eats to eating healthy. We're not saying बिल्कुल ही start eating like a sadhu sant. But
Mm,
start making delicious versions of everything, so you slowly your body naturally begins to gravitate towards healthier foods when you include more healthier foods. That's a natural principle.
mm,
So as soon as you start including more healthy foods on a weekly basis, within a year or two, you'll notice that people around you, if they haven't changed, and you see कि तुम कैसे खाते थे, and like those people, and then you see yourself, you'll be like, wow, इतना change आ गया मुझ में. Like I don't even realize it. So it's all about just thinking of what are the best few things, three best things to add. Simple rule: add three good things in your diet every week.
mm,
Three new recipes, and by the end of the year, where you will be, that's what matters. Not trying to make every meal perfect.
mm. So that was very informative, Tarika. One more thing I want to ask you that I've heard a lot about your webinars on, face reading on health. So tell us
Right.
something about it, the fun facts.
Yeah. Sure. I can tell you a fun fact about liver health. Should we talk about liver
Hmm.
health?
Why not?
So, if you have, a lot of people have this one single line, ऐसे करके गाड़ी से एक लाइन आती है forehead पे, right?
Hmm.
So उसको योगा में कहते हैं sun's line. आयुर्वेदा में कहते हैं कि बंदे में, उस पर्सन में पित्त ज्यादा होएगा, हीट ज्यादा होएगी बॉडी में. So in macrobiotic they call it the liver line, which means that that person's liver is a little bit compromised, and they have a little more stress in their body, and they have maybe consumed a little bit more of higher fat and higher protein foods. And so it's important for them to have more sweet, nourishing, soft kind of foods, more hydrating foods back into their diet, and
Oh, wow.
more alkalizing foods more into the diet. So एक single line जब होती है, it's basically deep line होती है. It shows that there is some compromise happening in their liver function. And जब दो लाइनें होती है, I'm mentioning two things is so that nobody confuses all lines.
Hmm.
But जब दो लाइनें होती है, sometimes एक deep होती है और एक कम होती है. So the ones that are closer to the eyebrows, ऐसे करके, the closer to the eyebrows, double line or one and a half lines is more connected to blood sugar. It shows that the person is pre-diabetic or has hypoglycemia. उनके cravings में problem आने लगती है. And single line जो deep center में होती है, that's the liver. Not to mistake the two. But yeah,
Hmm.
that's the fun fact. Start watching the lines and colorings on your face, and hopefully see them change as you start eating
Hmm.
better and exercising.
So tell us, Tarika, how can we know more about your webinars and how can we contact you if we want to?
Yeah, thank you. Well, I have an Instagram page which is called wellness_author, and Facebook page, and in another Instagram page, violet_wisdom. On Facebook too, you can look for Sacred Swan, my pages. This very weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we are having a webinar on lung health. It's a very extensive, actually, it's a 21st to 28th November, Saturday, Sunday, and next Saturday. And throughout the week, you'll receive recipe videos and things like that. So if anybody is interested in the lung health webinar or any webinar, they can follow our pages, follow my pages. Also, I can send you my email ID if somebody is interested in that. And the pages, I'll send you the links. You can share with everybody. They can connect with us anytime, and we announce.
So anybody interested can also write to Soulsetu and we can connect you to Tarika, and whosoever is interested in any of the sessions, we'll be happy to help you and assist you.
Thank you. Thanks, Pooja. Thanks for putting this forward. And
Tarika, we have asked a question from Tina, and she's asking, what about tea? As winters are approaching, so intake of tea increases automatically. So, what substitute I think or tea is okay to have? And how much tea is okay to have?
so, firstly, kaisi chai? You see, these are all very individual questions. So my thing would be कैसी चाय ले रहे हैं आप चीनी वाली ले रहे हैं दूध वाली ले रहे हैं what is the quality of milk what is the quality of sugar those are the first few questions if you're used to having 2 cups of tea and you want to start having 4 cups of tea have 2 cups of tea as you are but the other 2 cups try and have another tea like have an amla ginger tea or a cinnamon tej patta and
Lemon
kuch aur
chai.
aise karke ilaichi chai so make yourself or get like a nice our brand has beautiful teas we've introduced a tea which is called triple bloom it's made with Himalayan lavender Himalayan chamomile musk rose and a little bit of mint and then so this tea is called triple bloom we have a rooibos tea which is anti-aging it changes your cellular damage and we have a digestion detox tea which is little namkeen chai so it really helps your digestion and everything bloating anti-bloating so have some of these other teas which are very good so that you don't end up having the doodh and chai wali tea that many times a day because having doodh and chai wali tea doodh and chini wali tea that many times is not good for your blood sugar and also आप दिन में 4 बारी खाना खाते हो और अगर आप इतनी बारी चाय भी पीने लगोगे तो जो खाना होएगा वो डाइजेस्ट नहीं होएगा उसमें आप चीनी डाल दोगे बहुत सारी बार बार चीनी डालते जाओगे चीनी दूध so the food will start rotting in your tummy in your gut and gut health we all know today is so important so
Yeah.
very important to sort of not overdo the chai not the chini and doodh wali chai if you're having it not have it more often
Yeah. Nice.
choose better teas along with the ones you're having already
Okay. So I think we are almost through with time. And thank you, Tarika. It was such a wonderful and informative session. I had totally enjoyed it. And of course, I'm going to apply a few things which you told us. And I'm sure our participants will also, viewers will also, try and apply small, small tips and techniques which you told us. Thank you so much. It was
thank you
so
so much.
wonderful.
Yeah, and absolutely, Pooja, thank you so much for inviting me. You've been like, it's been a pleasure to interact with you as a host. Your questions and everything, the way you put out stuff and I'm saying things, responding to it and connecting the dots. It's been wonderful. It's been wonderful to be on your platform as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tarika. See you
Nice
again
meeting
soon.
you.
Bye.
All right. See you another time. Bye.
Thank you, viewers, for joining us today for this wonderful soul food session. If you want to watch it again, you can like and subscribe our YouTube channel Soulsetu, and you can watch the whole episode again and even the all the past uh, episodes of Rubaroo. And we'll see you next Thursday at the same time, 5 p.m. Till then, goodbye. Take care, everyone. Be in the best of your health. Take care. Goodbye.